how to figure out how to recognize their humanity. We figure out how to recognize their personhoods. We figure out how to recognize their dignity. And we figure out how to recognize their needs. It doesn't take a picture of a person in a tuxedo or a sepia-toned photograph of a handsome person. It doesn't take knowing that that person is a fellow healthcare provider to care. It doesn't take someone with a college degree. If that's the bar to clear for us to figure out someone's humanity, we're not going to make it. We have to figure out how you're going to make humans out of people who are already human. That shouldn't be that hard, but it's a lot harder than you think. It's harder than you think because we're up against our own human natures. We are up against fear, we are up against confirmation bias, and we are up against conditioning, a long history of conditioning that has shown us that when black people come into our offices, we might be seeking pain medications, when in reality, black people tend to get less pain medications for the same conditions. We are up against fear that they are not going to adhere to what we ask them to do. In reality, when black people have cooperative relationships, they have better outcomes, sometimes even better outcomes than their counterparts. The next thing that we need to do, that maybe we're good at, maybe we're not, but we're going to learn, and most of us in healthcare know how to do it. We know how to have tough conversations. And tough conversations are what are needed right now for us to be able to make advances. You have tough conversations not by being authoritative. You don't have tough conversations by being dominant. You don't have tough conversations by lording over anyone. You have tough conversations by showing your vulnerability. You have tough conversations by showing your humanity. You have tough conversations by showing that you're a human being too. And you're not going to get it right, you're not going to get it perfect. But you can tell when somebody walks in your office and they are making a genuine effort to try to take care of themselves, if they are making a genuine effort to try to understand themselves or their condition, you can tell when your friends or your colleagues or your next door neighbors or your in-laws talk to you. You can tell when they're making a real effort to try to understand. And now is not the time to shy away from conversations that will help us help them. We're going to make this work. You can see it. You've probably seen this is a great moment. We've been able to figure out how to bend the ear of people who have been very resistant to the idea that there's a problem, mainly because they have not seen that the problem directly affects them. But as you know, all lives don't matter until
Black Lives Matter.
That's not something that ought to be academic. It ought to be instinctive. It's not instinctive quite yet. We'll get there. We'll get there, but not without work. This is not something where it diffuses down a gradient. This is not something that just happens passively. It takes active work, it takes active conversation, it takes energy. But just like a reaction, when you get enough energy to the reaction, eventually it becomes a matter of course. Our job is to make sure that we don't go back. This is not a reversible reaction. It has to be irreversible. We have to make progress that is not going to slip away at the first sign of trouble. We have to be able to make progress that's not going to slip away at the first sign of messages. We've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of trouble with people who had an ear open and then closed their ears as soon as they saw that the movement wasn't clean. Change is unclean. Any of you who are nurses, you know, change is unclean.
Thanks, babe.
That is how it works. That is how it works in our lives. The next thing, and the last thing that I'll close with, is that we know how to take care of chronic recalcitrant conditions. We know how to deal with those. We train how to deal with those from the first day of nursing school, first day of medical school. When you train how to deal with chronic conditions, you know that there are factors that influence the outcome of those conditions. If you have the ability to address somebody's internal needs, they do better. If you have the ability to be able to get them in positive environments, they do better. If you have the ability to provide some gentle, kind accountability for their conditions, they do better. If you can help them develop self-awareness, they do better. If you can decrease resistance to the idea that there's a problem, if you can decrease the shifting the blame or projecting feelings onto other people, if you can reduce the denial, if you can reduce the rationalizations, people get better. Let's see whether or not we can apply the things that we devoted our lives to making some change right now and right here. Thank you very much.
Woo!